I want to talk to you today about really what I feel is the most powerful thing about 3D printing, and that's the future of really customer engagement. You know, I saw this a couple weeks ago. I was reading an article, and shopping factors, retail executives say that they're missing. And much beyond anything else, it was that personalized customer experience. Something that 3D printing really enables. Because if we look around us, right, we are surrounded by products, and it doesn't take too much to look a little closer to realize that all of those products are exactly the same. Now, we understand the benefits of mass manufacturing, but at the same time, we too know that we're all individual people. I don't know if there are any Dr. Pepper fans here in the audience, but I thought a great marketing campaign recently was this brand of one, and it really struck a chord with me. Because what I like might not be what you like, and it might not be what you like, but we all have our individual tastes and needs, that personal vision. So the problem, again, with those mass manufactured items is that, we really start to lose our connection with our customer. And as a result, their loyalty has to be purchased. If we think way back, though, we think back before the Industrial Revolution, we used to know how to make things for brands of one, right? We used to know how to make custom. We used to know how to make personalized. That's because we used to do everything by hand and everything by spec. But of course, that wasn't too scalable, and mass manufacturing became much more efficient. But we firmly believe that we are transitioning from a world of solely mass manufactured items into one with some room for mass customization. And we're doing that using a 3D printer, right? High definition, industrial strength machines capable of taking a digital description of a file and creating a tangible object from them. Machines capable of printing objects in steel, gold, silver, brass, plastic, full color sandstone, and many other different variations of different materials. Machines that truly enable mass customization because the product starts with the customer and it unravels from his or her individual unique needs. Machines that can produce well over 1,000, mind you, mainly unique items every day for people. So what is Shapeways? Shapeways is the world's leading 3D printing community and marketplace. And the way it works is someone has a CAD file. Someone has designed a 3D CAD file and takes that and uploads it to Shapeways. Within about a minute, we'll tell them if that file is able to be printed. We'll then tell them which of our 40 different material options that object can be printed in. From there, we'll tell them their cost for printing the minimum run of any file and any material, which is just one. Now, if you go onto Shapeways, you're going to be inundated by all sorts of different cool stuff. And all of those people are people that have, opened a Shapeways shop, right? So they have seen that product and how much it costs them to manufacture. They have put their markup on that product, and then they can go away. Basically, then, anyone in the world with an internet connection, doesn't matter if they're in Brooklyn or in Sydney, Australia, can come on, click to buy. Shapeways will handle the payment processing, will manufacture that item on demand, will ship it to their customer anywhere in the world, handle customer service afterwards, and on the 15th of every month, we'll pay them out their proceeds. What we'll keep is just 3.5% to handle those two payment transactions. So we're trying to enable everyone to be an entrepreneur, to be a designer, to open this business. Now, on each of those products, too, what you can do is actually contact that designer individually to have them make that product exactly to your needs, something that you want to see on it or some little different iteration that meets something that you'd like to see. So what this is meaning on a larger level, right, on a macro level, is that products are going to get better faster. We're seeing people release products on Shapeways, and then weeks later in our forum, people are coming back to them with ideas on how they can make those products better for their next version. So that next version happens in a few weeks. We're seeing multiple versions of products over a few months throughout the year. So by the time next year rolls around, we're not looking at version 3 or 4. We might be looking at version 25. Most importantly, for all these shop owners, there's no inventory, right? Supply always meets demand. With everything manufactured just in time and sent to the customer, we no longer have to worry about investing in a mold, waiting months for it to come back, and then having thousands of pieces where all of a sudden if we decide that we want to iterate or we want to do something different, we're left with basically lots of waste. So lots of plastic there I know you're seeing, but like I mentioned, we have 40 different material options. Most recently, we announced that we're 3D printing in 14 karat gold. Again, we have a full color sandstone, a little sad Keanu Reeves. One of my favorites is this Strong Beast right here. That actually is in what we call our strong and flexible plastic. That has over 60 moving pieces, and that's printed fully assembled as is in one print. The coolest thing about working at Shapeways is seeing what this community creates every day. And we see them, pushing the boundaries of design, getting involved in product design in ways that no one ever thought was possible before. And over the last couple of years, we've started to have larger entities come to Shapeways with grand visions of things they wanted to create that wouldn't have been possible any other way. So sometimes we start with a sketch and look to that community to start to create those CAD models. Maybe write some software to make things happen. One of our biggest events happened right in this room I think it was about a year and a half ago now. And that was the great Dita Von Teese gown, designed by Michael Schmidt and created by Francis Batanti, an architect here in Brooklyn. And Michael had an idea for his model and muse, Dita Von Teese, a fully articulated 3D printed gown. And Francis took this idea in many conversations and sketches on pieces of paper, created that CAD file, and created a gown that couldn't have been done in any other way. Now, most importantly, that gown was certainly for a brand of one. No one else could fit in. That was perfectly made for Dita's body. After this huge event, we started to have much more interest in things, within this fashion world. So we got another beautiful sketch, this idea of something a little different. This was going to be a snow angel. So we went back out to the community. We would see if they could create it, and lo and behold, that snow angel became the most talked about thing on the Victoria's Secret fashion show last year. Again, just an idea on a sketch that couldn't have been created any other way, that our incredible community was then able to utilize 3D printing to enable that person, that company, that entity to have exactly what they were looking for. So those two examples, they got a lot of press and a lot of buzz, but what we're really looking for at Shapeways is to enable the world to create products exactly the way that they want them, right? Not to have to be forced to buy things that are available. Nothing tells that story better than 4-year-old Kira. So Kira's parents went to her over Christmas and said, hey, what do you want? What can we get you? We want to get you a present. And she knew exactly what she wanted. She said, Mom, Dad, I want a submarine ducky. And they were like, well, okay. That doesn't exist, right? We can get you a submarine and we can get you a ducky. And she, unlike myself when I was a kid, I would never know exactly what I wanted for my birthday or anything else. She knew exactly what she wanted. She wanted a submarine ducky, and her parents, unfortunately, asked her what she wanted. So she said, okay. And her dad sat down with her at the computer. Thankfully, her dad was a bit of a designer, and said, okay, Kira, help me out here. Is that kind of what it looks like? And she said, yeah, that's the idea. But Dad, obviously the ducky has to open, right? The ducky has to open because there has to be at least two chairs in the ducky. And of course there has to be a wheel, and Dad was like, well, why is there a wheel? So you have to drive the ducky because it's going to be underwater, but sometimes it's going to be on the ocean floor and driving around there. So he's like, okay. So did this in ZBrush, and he was like, okay, kind of took control here and said, this is basically what it was, right? And Kira said, yeah, I think so. A couple weeks later, Kira got exactly what she wanted. She got her submarine ducky. How amazing is that, right? And Dad was smart, kind of said, Nick loves Kira, right under the little submarine ducky. But the point there is that is exactly what 3D printing is enabling. That customer experience, right? That experience for everyone in the world to get those products exactly the way that they want them. So we think that is, the future of customer engagement, right? We're thinking of that experience of being able to be involved in those products, to help build those products yourself and not have to rely on just what's on the shelf and what's available to you. So, we think about what social media did to kind of open up that conversation, right, between brands and consumers. 3D printing is taking that a giant leap forward. And it's enabling all of us to get involved in product design, to get involved in those products that populate our everyday lives. Maybe it's cufflinks for someone, and maybe it's a submarine ducky for someone else, and a phone case for a third person. But to have a part in those products that we use every day and that we'll become even closer to. So to enable the world further with this idea, Shapeways is created a RESTful API, which basically enables people, brands, companies to create apps that allow their customers to create products, right? That we can see, within parameters, if we're controlling that experience for the customer, that they're able to really design something. Because we think of, I'm asked frequently, okay, what's the big barrier to 3D printing? When is this really going to get, even bigger? The big barrier is that 3D printing, 3D design, CAD modeling is really hard. And it's really hard then, after you can design something, to make sure that it's always going to be printable. But if we can enable people with these apps, which we see on our site, many of them, from being able to create your own bracelet to create your own mini figure of yourself, to anything and everything else, right? We're seeing more and more of these available in the world. And again, this is a technology that's been around for over 2 decades that is brand new, right? Even in the last 3 years at Shapeways, just seeing how much has happened, like how far this has come. That we can print in 14 karat gold now. So we can print in steel. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Okay. So this video is basically went out to different people, mainly externally, to ask why is Shapeways powerful? What does 3D printing really do? I think this tells the story really well. About 2 minutes.
As humans, we've always strived to create, to build something that will solve a problem or meet one of our needs.
How would you feel if you could hold some of your designs in your hand and they went like, that's impossible? And I said, well, let's assume it is possible.
I'm not a designer, but now that I'm seeing the possibilities of this technology, you start to see the world differently and you start to reimagine the objects around you.
People are taking the power of creation into their own hands.
Boom, open up your little skull, pull out your idea and create it. Like that's what Shapeways does in a nutshell.
3D printing is a way of making things element by element additively. The things that we're designing, you can't make any other way.
I can make objects bigger, smaller, stranger. There's no limit to the variation you can apply.
I suddenly realized how much I was restrained by a lot of the technologies that were around before.
When something new comes to this home, she asks, have you bought it or have you made it?
If you look around us, we can buy any product we need to do whatever we want. What's missing, however, is our personal input into those products.
We have an idea, And then in the mail, the idea comes sort of as an object, and like, that's never existed before.
As a designer, you can concentrate on making the best object, the best product that you can, and Shapeways does the rest.
So we can make one of something and test it out. And all of this doesn't make any difference because there's no tooling, there's no molding.
There's no investment for a designer. It means also you can innovate faster. There's no penalty for innovation.
This gives rise to a whole new way of solving problems.
It's mind-blowing to think that we can build something today that was literally impossible yesterday.
So that's it. I know that's a lot of information. I know we have the panel later to answer any questions, but thank you all so much.